The only superiority of bad news over good news lies in its speed of circulation. Welcome to another episode, and we're going to we should have gone to chapter 31, which is Surah Al-Luqman, but we have two appendices to do, Appendix 5 and Appendix 6. Even Appendix 6, 5 is so long, we will have to break it into two, either break it into two or divide it into two. Mm. Let me show you a proof. Let me show it to you as a proof. Like I usually do. Okay. And this is a historical account of Islam, mm, which most of us tend to ignore. Mm. So, the contemporary Roman and Persian empires, see chapter 30, signs 2 to 7, and notes. Then down here, paragraph. The conflict between the Byzantine Emperor Heraclius, Heraclius and the Persian king Hosrau Parviz. Hosrau, Par- Hosrau Parviz, of course, not an English word, is spelled capital Khusrau. Then Parviz, capital Parwis. Hosrau, Hosrau Parviz. Into brackets, Chosru, Chosru the second. Chosru the second. Chosru is spelled capital Chosroes. Then the second. That's in brackets. Is referred to. Is referred to in Surah 30. In Surah 30 into brackets Surah to Rome. Full stop. It will therefore be convenient now to review very briefly the relations of these two great empires and the way in which they gradually decayed before the rising sun of Islam. Before the rising sun of Islam. Full stop. The story has not only a political significance, but a deep spiritual significance in world history. Full stop. Paragraph. Label 2. So the first paragraph was one without label. So paragraph 2. If we take the Byzantine Empire as a continuation of the empire that grew out of the Roman Republic, the first conflict took place in BC 53 when the consul Crassus, Crassus, Crassus is spelled capital Crassus, consul Crassus, into brackets, famous for his riches. So Crassus was very rich. Brackets close. Was defeated in the fight with the Parthians, capital Parthians, with the Parthians, full stop. If we go back further to the time of Greek city-states, we can refer back to the invasion of Greece by Xerxes. Xerxes spelled capital Xerxes. Invasion of Greece by Xerxes in BC 480 to 479, and the effective repulse of that invasion by sea and land by the united cooperation of the Greek states. Full stop. The Persian Empire in those days extended to the western to brackets Mediterranean, to the western Mediterranean coast of Asia Minor. Full stop. Of Asia Minor. Full stop. But as it included the Greek cities of Asia Minor, there was constant intercourse in war and peace between Persia between Persia, between Persia and the oh, but as it included the Greek cities of Asia Minor, there was constant intercourse in war between Persia and the Hellenic world. After Hellenic, we have brackets Greek, and the Hellenic into brackets Greek world. Full stop. The cities in Greece proper, the cities in Greece proper had their own rivalries and jealousies, and Greek cities are parties often invoked, and and Greek cities or parties often invoke the aid of the great king Shah, Shahinshah of Persia, Shahinshah of Persia in brackets. Shahinshah is spelled capital capital Shahinh. That's good. Mm. So it's just two shahs in the middle. You put in. Shah and then in Shah. Shahinshah of Persia. Brackets close. Against their opponents. Full stop. By the peace of Atlant by the peace of Antalcidas, by the peace of Antalcidas, BC 387, Persia became practically the suzerain power of Greece. Suzerain is spelled S U Z S U Z E R A I N, suzerain power of Greece. Full stop. This was under the Achaemenid dynasty of Persia. This was under the Achaemenid dynasty of Persia. Achaemenid, let me spell it. It's capital A C H A E combined. A E then Menian. Achaemenid dynasty of Persia. Paragraph 3. Then came the rise of Macedonia and Alexander's conquest of the Persian Empire, into brackets BC 330, brackets close. This spread the Hellenic influence as the East, as Central Asia, and as far south as Syria, including Palestine. As no, 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 I read wrongly. This spread the Hellenic influence as far east, not as the east, as far east as Central Asia, and as far south as Syria, into brackets, including Palestine, Egypt, and Northern Africa generally, and Northern Africa generally. Full stop. Rome, Rome, in its expansion eastwards, reached the Atlantic, and in its expansion, Rome in its expansion westwards, Rome in its expansion westwards reached the Atlantic, and in its expansion eastwards absorbed the territories of Alexander's successors, mm, and became the mistress of all countries with the Mediterranean sea coast. Full stop. The nations of Roman Empire, then in double inverted commas, insensibly melted away into the Roman name and people. Double inverted commas close. Then brackets Gibbon chapter 2. Yes, I remember this name. I've not been able to get his book to read. Gibbon chapter 2. Gibbon is spelled capital Gibbon. He's a great writer. We go to paragraph 4. We go to paragraph 4. Meanwhile, there were active forces in Persia which asserted themselves and establish into brackets AD 10 brackets close and establish the dynasty of the Assassins into brackets again Ascanian. Mm. Assassins is spelled Arsacids, and in brackets the spelling of the orbit in brackets is Ashkun no KN, pardon me. The dynasty of Assassins and Ash and Ashkanian. Ashkanian is spelled Ashkanian. Lengthened is the E's are lengthened. Full stop. This was mainly the outcome of revolt against Hellenism, against Hellenism, and its spear point, spear point is hyphenated, and its spear point was in Parthia, Parthia. I think I spelled it before. Full stop. The Assassins won back Persia proper and established the western boundary of Persia in a line drawn roughly from the eastern end of the Black Sea southwest to the Euphrates at a point northeast or Palmyra, and Palmyra is spelled capital Palmira. In case I don't call it well, full stop. This this would include the region of the Caucasus. This would include the region of the Caucasus into bracket, excluding the Black Sea and coast, excluding the Black Sea and coast, brackets close, and Armenia and Lower Mesopotamia in the Persian Empire. Full stop. And this was the normal boundary between Persia and the Roman Empire until the Islamic Empire wiped out the old monarchy of Persia and a great part of the Byzantine Empire and annexed Egypt, Palestine, Syria, and gradually Asia Minor, finally extinguishing the whole of the Byzantine Empire. So don't joke with the Islamic Empire. Should I repeat it? Uh, well, okay, let's go. I think it's okay. Uh, okay, let me start. Until the Islamic Empire, yes, until the Islamic Empire wiped out the old monarchy of Persian and the great part of the Byzantine Empire and annexed Egypt, Palestine, Syria, and gradually Asia Minor, finally extinguishing the whole of the Byzantine Empire. Let's go to paragraph 5. Mhm. Uh, another stage in Persian history, another stage in Persian history was reached when the Arsacids were overthrown and the Sar and the Sasanians came into power under Andashir under Andashir the first AD 225 225 full stop. Mm. Let's spell Sasanians again. S-A-S-A. The A's are lengthens. Nians. Uh, Under Ardashir. Ardashir is spelled Ardashir. Ardashir the second. AD 225. Okay. The Sasanian Empire was, in a sense, a continuation of the Achaemenid Empire, and was a reaction against the corruptions of the Zoroastrian religion, and the corruptions of the Zoroastrian religion, which had which had crept in under the Parthian dynasty of the Arsacids. Full stop. Uh, but the religious reforms, but the religious reforms were only partial. Full stop. There was some interaction between Christianity and the Zoroastrian religion. Full stop. For example, the great mystic Mant. Mant is spelled capital M-A-N-T, lengthened A. For example, the great mystic Mant, who was a painter as well as a religious leader, founded the sect of Manichaeism. Manichaeism is spelled capital Manichaeae combined, then ISM, Manichaeism, full stop. He flourished in the reign of Shapur. Shapur is spelled capital SHA, lengthened A, then PUR, lengthened U. Shapur, the first. AD into brackets AD 241 to 272. Brackets close. And seems to have reached a form of Gnostic faith. And seemed to have reached a form. Am I reading? I hope I haven't missed a line. There was some interaction between Christianity and the Zoroastric religion. For example, the great mystic Mani. For example, the great mystic Mani. Mani is spelled capital capital M-A, lengthened A, lengthened, and then N-I, lengthened I, who was a painter as well as a religious leader, founded the sect of Manichaeism. He flourished in the region of Shapur, the first AD 241 to 272, and seems to have preached a form of Gnostic faith, in which Alexandrian philosophy was mixed with Christian doctrine, and the old Persian belief in the dual principles of good and evil. Full stop. The Sasanians failed to purify religion and only adhered to fire worship. Fire worship is hyphenated, and only adhered to fire worship as the chief feature of their cult. Full stop. In manners and morals, they succumbed to the vices of the arrogance, luxury, sensuality, and monopoly of power and privilege, which it is the office of Roman, the office of religion, which it is the office of religion to denounce and root out. So to denounce and root out, full stop. That office was performed by Islam. Oh, my God. I have pains. Pardon me. I have pains in my body. That office was performed by Islam. Paragraph 6. When the seat of Roman Empire was transferred to Constantinople, into brackets Byzantine, in the time of Constantine, AD 330, in brackets, the conflict between Rome and Persia became more and more frequent. Full stop. The true peninsula of Arabia was never conquered either by Rome or by Persia, although its outlying parts were absorbed in either the one or the other at various times. Full stop. Uh, it is interesting. It is interesting to notice that Roman Emperor Philip, AD 244 to 249, brackets close, was a born Arab, and that the architecture of the Nabateans in the city of Petra and in Hijra shows a mixture of Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and indigenous Arab cultures. Mm. Let me repeat the Let me repeat this paragraph. It is interesting to notice that the Roman Emperor Philip, AD 244 to 249, was a born Arab. So Philip was Arab and not uh, a Westerner. Mhm. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. Paragraph 7. Arabia received the cultural influence of Persia and the Byzantine Empire, but was a silent spectator of their conflicts until Islam was brought into the main currents of world politics. Paragraph 8. The Yemen coast of Arabia, which was easily accessible by sea to Persia, was the battleground, was the battleground between the Persian Empire and the Abyssinian Empire. Just across the Red Sea, full stop. Abyssinian and Arabia had had cultural and political relations for many centuries. Abyssinian and Arabia had had cultural and political relations for many centuries. Full stop. Amharic is spelled capital Amharic. Amharic, the ruling language of Abyssinia, is closely allied to Arabia. So it's closely allied to Arabic. Amharic is closely allied to Arabic. And the Amharic people went as colonies and conquerors from Arabia through Yemen. Mm. Went as colonies, plural, and conquerors from Arabia through Yemen. Full stop. Shortly before the birth of Holy, shortly before the birth of Holy Prophet, Abyssinia had been in occupation of Yemen for some time, having displaced a Jewish dynasty. Full stop. The Abyssinians professed the Christian religion. The Abyssinians professed the Christian religion. And although their church was doctrinally separate from the Byzantine church, there was a great deal of sympathy between the Byzantine and the Abyssinians on account of their common Christian religion. Full stop. Once the Abyssinian vic- viceroys, once the Abyssinian viceroys in Yemen was Abraha. Notorious Abraha. Eh? Abraha Ashra, I believe. Mhm. One of the Abyssinian viceroys in Yemen was Abraha, who conceived the design of destroying the temple at Makkah. Yes, full stop. Mhm. Please let's take note of this. This event is in the Quran, Surah Al-Fil. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في ترليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول. So this is referring to Abraham's money, Abraham's actions in Arabia, minus his name proper. His name proper is not in there. His name is not in the Quran. Mm. So, uh, in which let me come. One of Abyssinia's viceroys in Yemen was Abraha, who conceived the idea of destroying the temple at Mecca. He led an expedition in which elephants formed a conspicuous feature to invade Mecca and destroy the Kaaba. And elephants is feel, asabul feel, companions of the elephants or riders of elephants, to destroy Mecca, to destroy the Kaaba, full stop. He met a disastrous repulse, which is referred to in the Quran. It's there, which is referred to in the Quran, CV. Sorry, which is referred to in the Quran, into brackets, Surah CV. You know what CV is? Maybe, I don't know, maybe 105 or so. No, well, let's take it like that. Into brackets, Surah CV. Full stop. This event was in the year of the prophet's birth and marks the beginning of the great conflict, which enabled Arabia eventually to obtain a leading place among the nations of the world. Full stop. The year, actually, the year, the year usually given by the prophet's birth is 570 AD, though, though the date must be taken as only approximate, being the middle figure between 569 and 571. The middle figure, 569, 570, 571. So, uh, researchers, or learned ones have put his date at 570 AD. Okay, being the middle figure, where is it? The date. And being the middle figure between 569 and 571, the extreme possible limits, the extreme possible limits, full stop. The Abyssinians, having been overthrown, the Persians were established in Yemen, and their power lasted there until about the seventh year of the Hijrah, approximately 628 AD, when Yemen accepted Islam. So Yemen was not an Islamic nation. Mm. One sheikh wrote that the Prophet wrote a letter to the king of Yemen and he tore it. And the Prophet said, yes, it was brought, the messenger brought back the message to the Prophet and said, oh, he has torn his country. Don't worry. It is his country that he had torn. And before long, he was overthrown. And now Yemen adopts Islam. The very thing that the king didn't want to take. Okay. We shall halt here. When we come back in our next episode, we shall go to paragraph 9. We shall then continue from paragraph 9, God willing. Thank you very much. Bye bye. May God be with you.